Okay, good afternoon. Just after watching the tape, just to reiterate what I said yesterday, last night, really proud of the players, the way they fought in the second half. Certainly showed some resiliency after being down, in the first half. Great finish of the first half, really good, going down there and scoring. A good stop by the defense, and then coming out, and doing what we did in the second half. I thought that was really good. My message to the players, and which will be the message to the players coming up in my team meeting, is that we have to finish and finish and make the plays down the stretch to win the game. And that doesn't mean special plays. You just got to make the mundane plays normal and make sure that we execute in those moments. And then we'll have good results at the end of those moments. So I will open up to questions from there.
Yeah, what short week strategies have you learned as an assistant coach that you think is most important, you really want to implement this week?
Yeah, so I've been around for quite some time, and I would say that the best way to do it is make sure the players are fresh. Make sure they're fresh. Do a lot of walkthroughs. We will do that. So we'll have a walkthrough today. We'll have a walkthrough the next day, and then we'll have a practice that last day, the day before the game. It'll be a quick, red zone type practice with helmets on. And then it's a lot of mental work. It's a lot of walkthroughs, mental work. It's a lot of film study with the players and coaches, players on their own. So you got to be prepared mentally, and because you're already almost in the 48-hour preparation. So it gets pretty tight. But and then you do a lot of things on the day of the game. We have some meetings and walkthroughs the day of the game because it is a night game. It's at 7:15. So you just try to prepare the guys the best you can in that time frame.
Is there any risk about? Is there a detriment to not working as hard as you normally do before a game? Do you feel like you see sometimes where a team just gets bowled over because they just haven't worked?
Yeah, I think that's more about you have to have mental focus. You really can't work them, too hard because you think about it, you just played a game yesterday. Typically, you have, you bring them in on a Monday, then Tuesday they have off, and then Wednesday. So, really, the Wednesday is the day they play, so to speak. So, you really got to be mindful of that, of the rest and health of the players. And we were leading into the game, so we were doing that a couple weeks ago. We were shorting down practice, shorting down reps. So we've been mindful of that all the way.
So what are some of your takeaways from being able to make a comeback on the road in a tough place to play?
From yesterday? I thought the guys handled it well. I thought we had a couple issues, pre-snaps, a couple things that we got to do better. But, I thought our guys handled it well. We obviously have to do a better job in the first half. I think we got to execute better in the first half, certainly on defense. And that's been something that we have to address, going forward. So we will do that.
You said you wanted to get that going, starting practices faster, right?
Yeah.
That's obviously going to be hard to do this week because you're going to have a bunch of walkthroughs.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, going forward, do you want to be more intense in practice than you've been maybe leading up to this game? You think that's one of the reasons why there was a slow start?
Yeah, I think you can do a bunch of different things. You can change the tempo of practice. You can change the amount of reps. You could do a bunch of different things there, and we will do that. I got to talk to the staff more about that. We'll have some time to talk after this game to visit on that, but we certainly are going to do something to adjust how we've been performing there.
The first couple of games, we asked you a lot about perceived imbalance between run and pass, that you were running a lot. Now I think you're throwing more than the NFL average, at least as of today. What have you liked about kind of the way your offense has rounded out in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, I just think it's growing. The guys are growing. I think the players are getting used to the scheme. The timing's getting better. The rhythm's getting better. I thought that yesterday the protection was good, and the protection's been good, at times, and it was better yesterday. And the guys are just getting used to it. You can feel Justin, comfortable where he is right now in the offense. He's taking command. I can see him in practice, and I've seen it the last couple weeks. Him taking control of route depths and talking to receivers. Hey, I want you to run it this way. Run it that way. Whatever the detail is, he's right there on top of it, and he's been growing that way, and that's been really good.
And I know you said that however you decide
decide you want to try and win the game is how you're going to try and win the game, whether it's run or pass.
Yeah.
Is there a level of comfort with your pass game that you have now that you didn't have a couple of weeks ago, if you need to go that way?
Yeah, you definitely want to have that. You want to have balance, but you also want to take what the defense gives you. And if they give you the no cover zone throws and they're playing a lot of zone, 0 to 5, and you're going to give you those, that's fine. If they're giving you the second level throw because there's some holes and gaps in the second level, certainly take those. And if they're playing a lot of man, you got to adjust and change and how you play your routes. So it's important to have all those weapons in your offense, and we're growing in that way, and we're starting to see the benefit of that.
What impressed you most about the way Justin played yesterday? He said after the game he felt as comfortable as he ever has.
Yeah, I would just say poise. He had great poise. He's always had good command, of the huddle and the calls, that's for sure. But I just felt poise and him calm and confident back there.
He said after the game yesterday, when he was reflecting back on the week with Justin, that he felt like the game plan was easier for him last week. Was there anything that was simplified about what you were asking him to do against Minnesota?
Yeah, I just think he's getting comfortable in the offense. I don't think it was any one particular thing. I just think he's getting more comfortable. And I think the coaches are getting comfortable with him. As you go through the process, I think it's, what guys are good at and really playing to his strengths. And I think that's for any coach. You feel more comfortable the more time you spend with a certain player. You just feel more comfortable with what he's good at and enhance that.
We don't see a lot of mid-game onside kicks, right, in the NFL. When do you make the decision? Were you thinking that coming into the second half, if we score here, we're gonna do this?
I think I made that on Tuesday.
On Tuesday?
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
but seriously, it's 21-10 at halftime.
Oh, I was serious.
Really?
Yeah.
The first kick of the second half was automatically gonna be.
Well, we had 3 or 4 scenarios that we were going to do it on, and it would depend on what, the flow of the game was. And we decided on 2 or 3 scenarios that we were going to do it. So, yep.
And you said you told the defense, if we don't get this, you guys need to buckle down.
Yep.
When did you tell them that?
I walked down and told him right before. So we were in a TV timeout. I went and talked to him and said, hey, this is what we're going to do. This is what, the chances we might not get it. And you're going to have to buckle down and sudden change, and you're going to have to stop them. And they got a first down, and we ended up blocking the field goal there. So they responded well to that.
Coach, you obviously brought in Lucas Patrick to take over at center, position where Sam played last year. He comes in, he gets the injury, so he gets worked back in at guard, then he gets healthy, and then Cody goes out, so now he's stuck at guard. Do you consider moving him back to center, and what goes into that decision? Is it a situation where you say, okay, is the greatest drop-off, at center from Lucas to Sam, or would the greatest drop-off be at guard from Lucas to whomever you may choose to?
That's a great point, and I'm going to go back to what I said in training camp. We're going to find the best 5. So who's ever healthy and up for that situation, we're going to find the best 5. And we have the luxury of being able to move Lucas in and out. So that's a benefit that we have. He can play all 3 spots in there. So we will find the best 5. Right now we know Cody's, not with us at this time, but right now, and we'll find the best 5 once he's back.
After looking at the film, what was your view of the Smith-Marset penalty on the Fields touchdown? What did you think?
Yeah, it was the same, live, and they called it. The officials called it, and sometimes, it's a judgment call, and they made that judgment and they threw the flag, and there's nothing you can really do about it at that point.
Was there any correction for the receiver, for the wide receiver?
No, I thought it was a great effort. I thought it was great effort by him. I thought he got in position. I thought it was great effort, and just at the end, the guy kind of spun and threw his arms up, and they called it, and that's the way it goes sometimes.
You consider that flopping? I know that's not popular in the NFL. That's not called in the NFL, but did you consider that a flop?
I don't know what the words you would call it, but he twisted and threw his arms up in the air, and they ended up calling it. So
We saw Jalen going through a workout before the game yesterday. Where do you guys feel about where he is, and are you hopeful he can go Thursday?
yeah, I'm really in the same spot I was. I was hopeful last week. And we'll see where he is. They're going to do some workouts with him today. After our walkthrough and all that, to see where he is, and we're hopeful that he'll be able to go.
Because you guys have to make that estimation later this afternoon
Yeah.
of where he would be in the.
Yep, that's all going to come out later after walkthrough.
On the 2-point conversion, was it just that the screen got blown? Were you expecting that play just to kind of catch them off guard and not get as blown up as quickly as it did?
Yeah, obviously we wanted it to work better than what it did for sure. We just got to do a bit better blocking there at the point of attack and taking that thing a little bit more inside, a little bit tighter. So, again, it was a design play that we liked, and we didn't execute it that well.
I'm curious on those comes by. So what's your theory on, there's a chart, everybody's got their chart. But what's your theory on when, because you wouldn't do that in the first quarter probably, right?
No, that was fourth quarter.
It's only because you're in the
Yep.
second half?
Yeah, sometimes the chart says that, that was a green go all the way, but sometimes the chart says, by quarter, is it third quarter, fourth quarter, go for one, go for two? It depends on what the points are there, but we have those charts for sure.
Always a chart guy, you just go by the chart every time?
Yeah, on certain things, on those things, you go by the chart for sure.
Mooney mentioned on the second 10 play on the first drive of the game where Fields and Mooney didn't connect, and that front left corner of the end zone was actually the same play where he got the one-handed catch. What does that show to you about Fields to go back to that play 3 drives later and then to execute it?
Yeah, we like that play. That's a good play versus that coverage. So I think they ran the route better. They were more in sync in the second one. But I'm sure they talked about it on the sideline. We've ran that route a bunch of times during training camp, and they've hit on it a bunch of times too.
You're considering making to practice to try and get the guys have better starts. Do you make any considerations about changes to your pregame stuff right before the game, or maybe even your in-game adjustments to try and replicate that success you're having in the third quarter?
Yeah, that's a good point. We're looking at everything. You have to look at everything. I think it's probably a combination of those things. Sometimes it's just a mindset. It's a mentality. And right now we got a great mentality for the second half, coming out and playing tough and playing strong and having stamina and all those things we talk about. But we got to come out and play fast and start fast.